Hey y'all, hope you're doing well and having a great Sunday. I wanted to come to you really quickly just to give you some things to think about, especially as you move throughout the annotated bibliography assignment. I promise you all I would do this, and I wanted to make sure to do it before Monday hits. Also, as I think I told y'all in my last video post, I am coming to you all from Italy. It is actually 10:25 here right now, so I'm going to try to do this as briefly as I can, just to make sure that you all can hear from me and kind of know what some considerations you maybe want to keep in mind as you go through this assignment. So, in any English 1102 class, the goal is to always provide students the opportunity to deepen their understanding of research. Now, one of the things that I do recognize is that many of you have exposure to doing academic research. You've done it in high school to some degree, or you maybe have done it in another college course. Again, mileage tends to vary, but I do want to make it a point to kind of go over a little bit of that and talk a little bit about why it's important to do it in this class before I dive into this assignment. So, academic research is really important because realistically, folks, one of the things you're going to have to do, regardless of your major, is dive into research and do some research papers or projects or something along those lines. Pretty much every major that I can think of does require that. And it is something that you want to be able to have a good foundation in, particularly in a class like this. And that, of course, will aid you as you move throughout the course of any academic course that you're taking in other core classes or that you take in your major. So with that in mind, this assignment is kind of a part and parcel to kind of get you thinking about academic research in a college setting, and I think will help you kind of begin to flex those muscles if you've never used them before, or if you haven't, it's just been a while. So the annotated bibliography is a very common assignment for a class like ours, and for this particular annotated bibliography, you're going to be using the poems and the themes and different topics within the poems we've looked at, and you've done through your discussion post, and you reviewed and were assessed on for your quiz to help you with this assignment. So ultimately, you are going to select 2 to 3 poems and identify key themes or issues those poems explore or they present. And you're really just going to conduct research on these topics and compile an annotated bibliography of 5 credible sources that deepen your understanding of the poems. Okay, so really just 5 sources, that's all you're going to be really looking for. So obviously, your first step is going to be to choose 2 or 3 of the poems and share related themes or present contrasting perspectives on a central issue. And with these poems, they are deep enough and they are complex enough, some more so than others, that you should be able to choose some different themes or some different concepts or different perspectives and within those poems. Okay, so again, I'm giving you a good bit of ground to cover here, but again, the key is 2 to 3 poems from the unit. Then you're going to identify key topics, determine 2 to 4 central themes or topics emerging from the poems. So like identity, power, trauma, environment, gender, race, memory, anything like that. And those are going to be key terms that are going to help guide your research. Okay. So again, step 1, choose poems. Step 2, identify key topics or key themes. And then step 3, you'll then conduct research. And again, I'm going to have a separate video on this, but ultimately you're going to locate 5 credible, relevant sources connected to your identified topics. And again, those appropriate sources can include peer-reviewed journal articles, scholarly books or book chapters, or reputable academic or organizational websites. And I'm going to talk about those things in my next video, okay? So for the annotation requirements, again, what you're going to be writing for each one of these sources, the first step is going to be relatively easy. You're going to provide the citation, provide a correctly formatted citation in MLA style. Now, one key thing you want to keep in mind here, folks, and I want to be very clear about this, the way you're going to organize your sources is going to be based on the way you on the way the citations are put together. So just like a works cited page, you have the entries in alphabetical order based on the first letter in the entry itself. You're going to do the same thing here, okay? And you'll just have the citations and then have the information I'm going to talk about below underneath the citation. So for each source, each one of the 5 sources, a citation. Then you're going to have a summary, 3 to 4 sentences, where you basically concisely explain the source's main argument or purpose. Relatively easy. The evaluation is going to be 2 to 3 sentences. Assess the source's credibility, author expertise, and relevance. So this is where you're going to have to make sure you really understand what the source is and where it comes from, so that you can be able to talk about, yes, it's credible because it comes from an academic journal. It comes from a credible government website. It comes from wherever it might come from. And then the last section is going to be the connections, so 3 to 4 sentences. So explain how this source informs your understanding of the poems and their themes. Okay, so again, you have multiple layers here. And again, with each one of these, you're going to get a little bit more specific. So first one, citation in MLA style. Second, summary, 3 to 4 sentences, basically summarize what that source is doing. Third is going to be the evaluation, assess the source's credibility, author expertise, relevance. Again, why should we trust this particular source is a good way to look at it. And the fourth one is going to be the connection. Explain how the source informs your understanding of the poems and their themes. Okay, so that is really going to what's encompass one of the sources and one of the annotations for your annotated bibliography. So you will do this 5 times for 5 different sources. Okay, organization and format, include a clear title. At the very top, you can just put annotated bibliography. If you want to put annotated bibliography and the title of the poems or the poets themselves, you can do that. But this is a particular assignment where I'm not necessarily looking for a creative title. Something that is just standard will work just fine. Alphabetize the entry by the first letter of each citation, just like I mentioned above a few minutes ago. Use the hanging indent for each citation, so make sure that you have the hanging indent for the second and subsequent lines of your MLA citations, and then maintain consistent MLA formatting throughout. So do make sure that you have things done double spaced. Make sure that you, again, are following MLA guidelines as closely as you can. The way I'm going to evaluate this is going to be based on relevance and credibility of the sources, depth and clarity of the annotations, strength of connections to the poems, and overall making sure that you adhere to citation and formatting guidelines. Okay, so the assignment's relatively straightforward. There are a number of annotated bibliographies you can look for. But I do want to encourage you, if you look at one, look at it for formatting only. Don't look at it for exactly how it should look here, because what I'm asking you all to do with your annotations might be a little different than an example that you look up. Okay, so ultimately keep in mind everything I've mentioned above in the guidelines here, and please note that this is going to be due on Sunday, April 12th by 11:59, and I will be opening up a Dropbox for you to put that in the upcoming days. Okay, so that's really going to be what this assignment is asking you to do. I wanted to make sure to do a video that specifically drilled into this really clearly. All right, so I'm going to conclude this video here, and I'm going to hop over and get ready to record one other video. It's going to talk through finding sources and credibility of sources. Take care, folks.